Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we give you sports information from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is @ Indus News Sports. That works both for Twitter and for Instagram. Anyways, we're going to start off the journey with the world of cricket. Yes, talking about the world of cricket, we did discuss Pakistan versus West Indies. Obviously, the series on the test side was tied. Not only that, Pakistan, however, did manage to win the T20 side. But now we're going to discuss not only this particular series, but we'll also discuss the upcoming Kiwis visiting Pakistan. To discuss the in-depth analysis, we have with us Kashif Majid, who's a first-class cricketer from Pakistan. Kashif, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alamdar. Nice having you.
Great. So, Kashif, I'm going to start off, obviously, with want to talk about how Pakistan managed to win the second test. I think it was phenomenal in terms of the batting lineup. It was pretty disturbing when we literally saw the first three players, not doing their very best. We're talking about Abid Ali, Imran Butt, and Azhar Ali. But then, obviously, Babar Azam and Fawad Alam took their journey forward and finally made sure that, the team is up there where they're supposed to be. And then Shaheen Shah really did his magical spell and made sure that Pakistan wins the series, as in that particular test. So what's your take with regards to our team to begin with Pakistan versus West Indies to begin with?
When we talk about this test match, or even last 5 or 6 series, test series I'm talking about, we've been struggling with our opening partnership for so long. Who will be opening the innings in Test cricket for Pakistan? People talk about Saeed Anwar and Amir. I must say that in between, we have got Tawfiq or Imran Farhad who started playing very well. And then we have got patches of our openers performing well, but of recent, nobody's chipping in with some runs or consistent performances. There was Char Masood with 150 in English conditions, the very first innings he played in last series against England, but no one else. So what the problem is, the moment an opener trying to get settled into the side, we started looking for another opener. The same is the case with Shah Masood. Exceptional series he played in South Africa, a good innings, 150 in England, and then when he started struggling with his form, with his lack of runs, we started thinking, okay, let's drop Shah Masood and find someone else. Right. This rotation when it comes to the opening partnership, that won't have a good cause on the effect of the team. So, second important thing is, if you look around the globe, we see no one performing well at the top of the order, apart from David Warner, I guess.
Right. England
struggling with Dom Sibley and Burns. South Africa struggling. Even Australia, who've been doing very well till Justin Langer and Matthew Hayden, and then David Warner and Cameron Benzap. They're struggling too with their opening partnership. So this is the phenomena we're facing in this cricket, because nowadays because we wanted to use the conditions in our favor. The home team wanted to use conditions in our favor. Right. Except for the India, where openers get a chance to score some runs till the spinners come into that. And everywhere else, the fast bowlers are having a say against the opening batsman.
Right. But ultimately, there needs to be a conclusive side. I think then it should be for all the teams. But as you mentioned that, we keep on rotating. Once we get, if Shah Masood did perform well, then he was taken to a side. But then now we have these lineups. And, for instance, now if they don't perform, and we'll change them and we'll bring someone else. But there has to be an ultimate solution to this problem, because I think if this is not only Pakistan's problem, as you just mentioned, it could be anyone else's problem. So what do you think would be the right solution for it?
I'm talking about history, I guess. We talk about good quality openers for Pakistan. Let's chalk down some of the openers. Saeed Anwar was an exception with average in mid-40s. Amir Suhail, we thought, was an exceptional opener with average in 40s, and right. So on and so forth. I'm talking about the recent good quality openers we've been talking about so much. Right. So when we talk about average in the mid-40s, we talk about great openers just because at that point of the time, when it comes to the Pakistani team, we have got exceptional bowling lineup. Right. We're talking about Ejaz, but an excellent one-down batsman in all formats, test and one day. He ended up with an average of 32 or 33, I guess, in the one days.
Right.
Amir ended up with an average of 32 and 33 in the one days. The problem at the solution to all those queries of the batsman was the exceptional bowling lineup. We've won matches scoring 115, 180 runs. Nowadays, when we talk about our bowling lineup, it's lacking in white ball cricket as well as in the Test cricket. We haven't got exceptional bowlers who can, ask your batsmen to score 150 plus runs in any of the innings of the Test match, and they can win a Test match for us. So this is where Pakistan is lacking, and now we are facing a dilemma where our batsmen have to win matches for us. First thing. Second important thing, when we talk about opener, it's a very specialist position. We have to stick with openers at least for the 10 innings in Test cricket, at least. We are talking Imran, but he's played, I think, 7 or 8 innings, and everyone in the town is talking about replacing Imran, but always a very exceptional select fielder. We have experienced Chan Masood. He's played, I think, less than 15 Test matches over the course of 5 or 6 entries into the team. He's been in and out of the team 5 or 6 times, and just played 15 Test matches. So this is where I think we have to stay with the chosen ones and ask them, you are here for the 6, 7 Test matches, prove yourself. And if not, unfortunately, then we have to look for another solution. 2 matches, 3 matches, just not enough for any Test opener.
Right. Well, surely I hope this goes out all those selectors and all those individuals who actually make decisions for the team. I would also want to discuss with you in terms of the Kiwis visiting Pakistan, and it is going to be super interesting. We have 3 ODIs and 5 T20 matches with them. So how well prepared do you think our team is? Because we surely will be having the home ground advantage to begin with. And yes, the series starts somewhere from the 17th of September.
I think when it comes to New Zealand coming to Pakistan, they're not coming with their full strength side. They're coming to Pakistan after a gap of a generation, I think. None of them have actually visited Pakistan apart from ones who have played in the PSL. And I think it's an entirely new experience for them. Talking about Pakistan and our preparations, it's just not easy facing New Zealand in any form of cricket with the amount of talent they've got and with the amount of smoothness they have got in their cricketing lineup. Every player playing for New Zealand is we thought of that a specialist is there playing at every number, every position in the New Zealand lineup, and they're well equipped mentally and of course physically. They know how to bowl long spells. They know how to use variations when it comes to the shortest form of the cricket, and they just know how what is their role in the side, and this is why they're a very dangerous side. They've been playing the finals in the 50-over format for the last 2 years. They've been playing semi-finals consistently in T20 format. So they're the champions of the World Test Championship, champions of the World Test Championship. So they know how to play, go about their business.
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting for New Zealand, of course, visiting Pakistan. Why? Because of the fact that we know that end October comes the WT20 World Cup. And I'm sure that, once they've visited Pakistan, they'll surely have a bit of idea of the conditions that would surely be beneficial for them in the long run in terms of the World T20 World Cup.
I think apart from just from the T20 World Cup, it's beneficial for the both countries as well as both cricket boards. It's been long since New Zealand have visited to Pakistan. They're definitely looking for a venue where they can go and play every form of cricket. Because New Zealand will be playing against all the teams. They are not visiting regularly to the subcontinent. They've not been in India. They've not frequently in India. They've not been into Bangladesh or Pakistan. And Pakistan, it's been like years. I guess last 2004 they've been visiting Pakistan. So it's important for them to find another venue, another cricketing test playing nation where they can go and have a blast, enjoy their cricket, and it's also important for the cause of Pakistan because recently everybody, Graham Smith in South Africa, Michael Clarke in Australia, are talking about the revenue-based cricket going on in ICC. Australia versus India, India versus England, Australia versus England, and that's it. Every hype, and now and then we see these 3 teams playing each other. The important aspect is the rest of the team, like Graham Smith said, if ICC has to go about playing cricket in this way, then eventually they'll be facing a parallel international cricket concept, because the rest of the sides, the rest of the teams will be trying to find out a solution so they can get a good share of revenue as well as a good share of cricket. So this is a good thing where we are, shaking hands with New Zealand, we're shaking hands with South Africa, with West Indies, and all those boards were deprived of being the big three of ICC.
Right, and we've also heard with regards to obviously English side also planning on touring Pakistan, which surely can be super beneficial not only for us, but I think overall perspective with regards to promoting the sport.
I think hats off to Wasim Khan and the management of Pakistan Cricket Board. In just 1 year time or 2 years time, they've managed to pull out all the super teams or the big three teams. Even Australia is coming in the February, except for the India. Every team is now trying to visit to Pakistan, and this is where the board and the diplomacy they have adopted, the methods they have adopted. I think that's very beneficial for the Pakistan and for the players. Players now get a chance to play each other. Imagine for a moment, Virat Kohli retired without having played a single test match against Pakistan. Imagine for a moment the class of Babar Azam haven't played a test match at home against Australia. Haven't played a test match against New Zealand at home. So this is where it's important that Pakistan and the Pakistani players get a chance to play against every quality nation at their own backyard. So they can prove that playing abroad is just not easy, which is we are doing for the last 10 years or 12 years.
Right.
Going abroad, playing even our home series at UAE, haven't tasted the soil of Qaddafi Stadium, the pitch of Qaddafi Stadium, the Multan, the Karachi, the Rawalpindi. So this is a chance that we can prove ourselves that we are a formidable side in our own backyard.
Right. Well, it has been an interesting journey in terms of learning. Kashif, thank you so very much in discussing the world of cricket with us.
Thank you, Alamdar.
So that was Kashif Mashid, obviously a first-class cricketer, and obviously he gave us the in-depth analysis with what could have been done with regards to and what should be done in the long run in the world of cricket. And yes, we discussed Pakistan versus West Indies, and not only that, we also talked about the Kiwis visiting Pakistan, and not to forget, we also were discussing how beneficial it is in terms of all the international teams coming over to Pakistan, which surely is a big decision and a big plus for the country itself. But anyways, guys, we'll take a quick break. Once we get back from the break, there is more coming in from the world of sports. See you guys after the break. And yes, welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we were discussing the world of cricket, but not to forget that Premier League is finally up and running. And to discuss the in-depth analysis of what's truly happening in the world of Premier League, we have with us Martin Ziegler. Martin, welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be with you.
Great. So Martin, finally it is coming back to life and we are seeing some interesting matches. So I would start off with obviously the last match that took place, obviously West Ham winning against Leicester City, and obviously Leicester City not at their very best to begin with and also getting a red card. So how do you see the match happening?
Yeah, I think it was a quite an interesting result, that, because it just showed West Ham United, who had a good finish to last season, have started very strongly again. In fact, they're now top of the Premier League. I know it's only 2 matches in, right, but under David Moyes, they're being. They've made some good signings. They're very, very well organised. They've got some centre of midfield. Declan Rice is a very strong player. Mikel Antonio as a striker, he's 31, but he's playing like a 21-year-old, full of running. Really, really, really good.
Right, and surely it is it is literally very interesting to see how Mikel obviously managed to be on fire, and obviously now they're surely, as you mentioned, there's only 2 matches in. But yes, I think all teams are trying to gain that momentum. But talking about momentum, a very interesting match that took place obviously on the 22nd of August, which was obviously Arsenal versus Chelsea. And I think Arsenal they still have a lot of firepower, they still have that backbone, they still have the amazing coach. But yet again, they're still late starters up till now.
I think Arsenal have been really badly affected by players testing positive for COVID. So Aubameyang, Lacazette, the new defensive signing, Ben White. So it's been a really difficult start for them. Chelsea are going to be one of the them and Manchester City. I think are going to be the two major favourites. So it was a really difficult game for them anyway. Without their sort of main players being able to start the season, I think it's been a real struggle. I mean, Aubameyang did come on, looked quite sharp, but it wasn't to be. I just think they need to regroup Arsenal. Odegaard has now joined. He can play the next match. But they've obviously got Manchester City. So it's out of the frying pan into the fire.
Right, absolutely. And I would also want your point of view with regards to, obviously, Lukaku made his first goal for Chelsea. And, I think it's it's really interesting to see how things may go further for Chelsea, because if you look back into the previous season, of course, Chelsea were on top, and I think it's going to be super, super interesting to see where exactly this goes further, having Lukaku on board.
I think he's going to get a lot of goals this season. I mean, he absolutely battered the Arsenal defence. If some of his teammates had been a bit more accurate with their passing, he could have had at least 3 goals instead of just the one.
Right.
I think he's going to be a really great signing for Chelsea.
Right. And talking about signing, I would also want to talk about what exactly because I think this is currently the last week of the signings. Are there any expected signings? Because there are a few that I've heard of, but I also want your input on it, that any last signings that are still pending and we're looking forward to hear about them.
Well, of course, everybody is looking around Harry Kane, and will he leave Tottenham and go to Manchester City, for example? Right. I mean, I think the latest on that is he probably won't. He is very recently he is just his representatives have given some guidance that he is going to be resigned, or he's happy to stay at Spurs for another season. That he's not going to push for a move anymore. This is after 3 months where effectively he's been making it clear he wants to leave Spurs. But I think the trouble is Manchester City and other clubs are not prepared to meet Tottenham's valuation, because I mean, they're talking crazy money, 160 million or even 140 million pounds. Right. Manchester City will not pay that.
Well, definitely, it eventually comes up to, obviously, financial side. If we look into, obviously, all the signings, there's some big names that actually had to let go only because of the financial side. But anyways, I would also want to talk about Tottenham beating the Wolves 1-0 on Sunday. What's your take with regards to that as well?
Yeah, I've been intrigued by Tottenham Hotspur because they changed their manager. They've got the former Wolves manager Nuno is now he's managing them, and what a great start they have had to the season. I thought they would really struggle a bit, especially with Kane being unsettled. I mean, he hasn't started the first 2 games. He came on as a substitute, right. But actually the other players have stepped up to the plate. Really, Lucas Moura, he's been really full of running. Son, of course, we know all about Son and how good he is, but he's been excellent. And there have been some other players come through, and I think for Tottenham Hotspur fans, some really positive signs. Right.
And talking about positive, and then we head towards a bit of the negative. We'll talk about Manchester United, tying up with Southampton, which obviously was of utter surprise, because I think as per the previous season and even now, people are looking forward for Manchester United's super performance, which they eventually at the start did give. But then drawing against Southampton is going to change a lot of pictures and a lot of hope from their side.
Yeah, I think Manchester United were sort of caught out a bit. I think Southampton's they had a fairly physical approach, nothing that was too dramatic, but even so, they put Manchester United off their stride. Bruno Fernandes, he lost the ball for Southampton's goal. He was caught in possession. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer claimed it was a foul and that it was, this was more like rugby than football. But actually, Southampton were good. They were good value for their draw. There's a slip up from Manchester United. Mason Greenwood, though, is looking sharp. So I think there's probably there's lots of hope, and Pogba especially is looking good, which for many years lots of fans have been frustrated with him. But I think this could be a very good season for him.
Right. And talking about other teams, I would also want your input with regards to finally we are seeing a better side of Liverpool, because all the fans out there were looking forward for that, and I think now they're slightly they've started taking that momentum that they were supposed to. So how do you see Liverpool in the long run in terms of the Premier League?
I think they've had an easy start, let's face it, with Norwich and Burnley, probably two weakest teams in the Premier League at the moment. So it's a bit difficult to assess. I think it'll be really interesting. So obviously they play Chelsea this weekend. Chelsea going to Anfield.
Right.
That will be a really, really strong indicator of where these teams are this season. Because we know about Salah and Mane and how good they are, and I will be interested to see now they've got Virgil van Dijk back at the centre of defence. What will that mean for Liverpool? Can they really mount a title challenge? Because without him, they couldn't last season, that's for sure.
Right, and everybody did mention that. You're absolutely right in terms of Liverpool's performance, that they were more like, we don't have Van Dijk yet, but now I think they have it. So I think that would surely be an interesting match to, once this happens, when Liverpool faces Chelsea on Saturday, it would probably give us a better or a clearer picture. And one more match that I would also want to talk about in the upcoming ones, which is going to be interesting, is going to be Manchester City versus Arsenal. So how do you think and how do you see or project this upcoming match?
Well, I mean, I fear for Arsenal, really. Manchester City have not replaced Sergio Aguero, so they are still. You could say they're short of their sort of main striker, which is why they've been interested in Harry Kane.
Right.
But on the other hand, they've made some. Signed Jack Grealish, £100 million. He's strengthened the team. In their last match, Gabriel Jesus, I think, was very, very good. He created many assists for his teammates. So I think that what the style Manchester City play means that they don't necessarily need to have this sort of out-and-out goal scorer like Harry Kane, because goals come from all over the pitch.
Right.
And I fear it's going to be a tough afternoon for Arsenal.
Right. Let's hope for the best. And Martin, thank you very much for being part of the show and discussing the world of Premier League with us.
Thank you very much.
So that was depth analysis from Martin. Obviously, he did mention things that are happening and things that will be happening very soon with regards to the Premier League. I think it's going to be interesting matches in the upcoming lineups, and would surely be discussing and sharing the upcoming results. Not to forget that the most interesting match that is going to come in terms of hardcore rivals is going to be Liverpool facing Chelsea on Saturday, the 28th of August. So don't forget to watch that. And not only that, one of the most interesting matches that I'm looking forward to is also Manchester City versus Arsenal, which is also going to be on Saturday. Anyways, guys, you guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is @ Indus News Sports. That works both for Twitter and for Instagram. Till then, take good care of yourselves, and bye-bye.